Heyo! So my name is Sarah and today I'll be doing another book review. So first of all, I would like to say I did not know about this book or anything. Never heard of it until I watched a booktuber who I'm a fan of. Her name's Reader Skeeter. Check her out. And she did this book review and I was like, I gotta read this. I so have to read it. So, the book I shall be reviewing today is... I'm watching some dogs. My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Jodi Ashton, there you go, and Jodi Meadows. Now, I've heard of these two authors, haven't exactly heard of her, but, you know, this is 3 authors writing one book, and it's... oh my god, it is funny. So that's all I'm going to say. And non-spoilers, it is historical fiction, so it's basically retelling of an actual person from the past. Her name was Jane Grey, also known as the 9-Day Queen of England. Didn't know about that. Again, Reader Skeeter. Check her out. And so, for non-spoilers, instead of Protestants and Catholics, we have the Farays, which are like considered the Catholics, and we have people who can turn into animals. Yeah, they would be the Protestants, and they are called Ethans. It has like a weird D on it, so I kept calling them Edens, but they're called Ethans. Like, so, yes, this is told in a three-person perspective. One is King Edward, King Henry VIII's son, his cousin Jane, and her husband Gifford Dudley. I knew the name Dudley because of Queen Elizabeth, the little romance going on in there. So Jane, because Edward is dying of an affliction, she marries G. He likes to go by the name G, but she doesn't know that he's an Ethans. I keep wanting to call him an Eden. And from morning to evening, sunrise to sundown, he turns into a horse. You know, neigh, a horse. That's a strain on the relationship, I would assume. And so, find out that Edward's not really dying of affliction, but he's being poisoned by Dudley and the court healer. And because of that, that's how we lead to Jane becoming queen. We do get a 9-day rule, and then after that we get to what's called part 2, parentheses, where we just throw history out the window. That's like one of my favorite little parts in this book. So yeah, it's historical fiction. Nice little retelling of Jane Grey. We do make it past day 9. And yeah, it's really funny. We do get to see Mary, Queen of Scots, but for those who've watched Reign, CW, good show, that's how I kind of imagine those characters. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say for non-spoilers. If you like history and how you think how it should have gone, this is your book. If you like comedy, shape-shifting animals, and couples that are always like bickering with each other, this is the book. So, yeah, My Lady Jane, it's amazing, little Miss, I am queen for 9 days, and then in real history, but who knows, we might get something a little different. So, yeah. Bye, non-spoilers. I'm one of those people that think how it should have gone or how it should have ended. Again, another YouTube channel. So yes, Jane, she is the cousin of Edward, and first point of view we get is of Edward finding out he's dying. So we get to meet Mary, his older sister, and Bess, aka Elizabeth. So if you know how history goes, we know that Mary, after Jane becomes queen, she becomes Bloody Mary, burning 200 Protestants, aka Ethans, and then Elizabeth takes over. So, but not this time. We find out Edward's being poisoned, and he names Jane his successor through her male heirs, but when she gets married, they're like, oh, he's gonna die faster, so she'll just become queen. So, yes, Jane, she's a little Miss Book person. She is totally not what an English woman should be. She loves her books, she can read them in multiple languages, and she always referring, well, I read this in a book. Yeah, she does that a lot, especially when they have to go up against a bear. She's like, well, I read somewhere. That would probably be me. I'd be like, I read this from a book, this should work. So yeah, she finds out she's getting married after 3 proposal failures, which are really interesting. And so she marries G. Gifford without knowing he's a horse. So you can imagine that on the morning after her wedding, he like is ready to tell her something and he turns into a horse. It's like, you're a horse. That's how the relationship begins. It's a little rocky. What can you expect? Arranged marriage. And they have my favorite things called the rules. G's like, you shall not ride the horse. Broken. You shall not bridle the horse. Not broken. And you shall not make any horse jokes. So broken. And after that, Jane's like, fine, you do not touch my books, you do not eat my books, you do not leave hay in my books. And when she made a horse comment, Gifford like grabs the book, like, you didn't say anything about bending the spine. Put the book down. So like they spend their honeymoon at a castle, and she mostly reads to him when he's in horse form, because it's during the day. But you would think their relationship is going well, until they find out Edward has passed. In reality, his people try to murder him, but he found that out from his dog, Pet, short for Petunia, who he didn't know wasn't Ethan. I swear, if I call him Edens, sorry about that, but I just really want to call them Edens. And he finds out that she's actually a girl, and that the canine master, whose family are like a bunch of dogs, they have sworn to protect the royal crown, even though the crown never knew that. Good thing, because Edward's father was certainly a lion, and don't eat the messenger came from him. So he finds that out. Bess, Elizabeth, turns out to be a cat, and says that, you know, you're an Ethan as well. You can turn into a bird, and that's how he escapes, because he turns into a little kestrel. In his mind, that's not high ranking. Falcon's the highest. The kestrel is what the servants used. Either way, he escapes, but everyone says he's dead. He's dead! The king is dead! Long live Queen Jane! Which leads to her becoming queen, and she's like completely shocked about it, but she convinces her, you know, because they had these little ideas that they could change the kingdom. Not really in 9 days, so. Mary, as we're going on and leading closer to history, does bring her army to the castle. The Privy Council abandons Jane, and Mary gives her cousin the chance to denounce Ethan and be a complete fairy Catholic. But at the same time, she turns into a horse. Dudley throws his son under the bus, and Mary's like, Jane is like, I shall not denounce my husband. So, you know, we're getting closer to where her head rolls. But then we found out Jane is not a fairy. She's an Ethan. And for non-spoilers who are still watching this, shame on you. For those who know what I'm talking about, oh my god, she turns into a ferret. She's like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. And she sneaks out of her room and rescues G. And day 9 has passed. Heyo. And so Edward, we do get a little snippet of him. He manages to turn back into a human, and that's where he meets Gracie, aka Grace McTavish, a Scot. Yes, he also brings up that little tidbit about him being an English king and saying, A, if I tell her, she might not believe me and she'll kill me, or B, she'll probably believe me and kill me slower. But you know, he helps her escape from a barn, and them two travel, and turns out she's a fox. A thief turns into a fox. What does the fox say? I can stop myself from there. And they find Edward's grandmother, who is still alive. Ooh, lady. And she's a skunk. Yes, I know. Little doggy. Yes, the former-ish queen is a skunk. So, she and Jane, along with Pets, find Edward, Bess, and they figure we need to get some help to take back the castle, England. So they get the help of the pack. Your common Robin Hood, Edens, who've been causing a little trouble, but they're fighting for the Eden freedom. That's where they come into killing a bear, the mythical bear, and Jane doesn't forgive G because he locked her in a cage in Ferret Farm while he and Edward went to go be boys and do the manly stuff. And then they go off to France, where again, Mary, Queen of Scots, is like 13, and we find out she's a mouse. Eden, so that's how King Edward could never really get his hands on her. You know, meese. And she's supposed to be 13, but I'm still thinking of Reign, of Mary, who's like 18. King Henry, you're still alive. Reign reference, and you know, the Dauphin and Queen Catherine, still evil as usual. But they also get an army full of Scottish Edens to help take back the castle. And so yeah, it's been like days after the original Queen Jane's death, the beheading, and so we go back to England, raid the castle, stealthily, you know. A little ferret squeezed her way in and let a little birdie in. And oh my god, before I forget this, we had a Tangled reference because Jane got a frying pan and she used like, frying pan, who knew? So I was at the time also watching Tangled when I read this scene. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, Edward goes back, gets his throne, and we find out Mary isn't as ferrety as she thought she was. Because at the last moment, she turned, non-spoilers, turn away, mute, I don't care. If you want to hear it, chew back, okay, go ahead. Mary's a donkey! Oh my god! And Grant managed to find a way to get back into court because she's like, oh my, she's such an ass! Yes, they mentioned that. And so Edward gives the crown to Bess. He and Gracie live happily ever after, and G and Jane have their second wedding, and it's like the end. How it should have happened. So yeah, we actually have little narrators, like they're always in parentheses. For it's like if you watch Mr. Robot's like Elliot talking in his head, or if you watch Kami-sama Kiss, an anime, it's where the narrator always starts the episode. So yeah, we had these little narrators, the three authors, pointing out facts, or like, well, this was before, or let's remember that Edward or Jane or G. So they were funny. Those little comments were cute and funny. So yes, if England had mythical creatures, yes, who were people who could turn into animals, I would so love it. And it kind of makes sense, like, you know, the whole Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter thing made sense. This actually made a lot of sense. So I was actually concerned that when we got to day 9, something bad would happen, someone would die or something. But no, there were no burnings. Jane kept her head. She did not die at the stake. Mary lived her life forever as a donkey, and Elizabeth became Queen of England. So, yeah. Okay, I might sound like I'm doing this a lot, but I give this book definitely a 5 out of 5 stars. It was funny, it was witty, it was adorable, in my opinion. It was adorable, it made so much sense, and there's actually a little bit of action scene going on. When G and Jane stumbled upon the Pack's hideout, when they raided the castle, when Edward saved Gracie from a farmer, that was kind of noble. And my favorite part was whenever Edward kept mentioning that he never kissed a girl before, and he wanted Gracie to be the first one, but she kept calling him sire. It's like, call me Edward. But at the end, they finally get the kiss. So yes, G and Jane, they finally put their differences aside. Jane can control her shift now because she would always turn into a ferret from nightfall to sunrise. G can now control himself from becoming a horse. Oh, I love those horse jokes. Again, very scared. Do you want a carrot? Was that a horse joke? Nay. So it's like, and it was funny when G was trying to figure out what kind of animal Jane was because he thought she was a rat, but then he compared her to like a cat having a child with a snake. It's like called her a rat, and Jane started going ballistic. And then when she showed that she can slip through the door, it's like, yes, we have a weasel. She rolled over and played dead. That's a possum, but it was still adorable. I thought she was like a kitty cat because she didn't know what she was, but then when G made that comment about the little relationship thing, it's like, oh, she's a ferret! So cute. So, yes. 5 out of 5 stars. If you have not read this book, go ahead and read it. It's amazing. I couldn't stop laughing. And yeah, what kind of animal would you want to be? Because I already know what I want to be if I'm from on the land or in the sky. So, yeah. If you want to say what animal you be, leave your comments down below. I will actually leave a link to the book review from Raider Skeeter in case y'all want to check her out. She's really funny. She also does movie reviews and so forth. So yeah, what you think? What's your opinion on the actual history and how this could have tied in? Leave it down below. I'm a history buff, so I would love to read your opinions and how it should have gone. So yeah. My name is Sarah. This has been my review of My Lady Jane, and bye!